Hello and welcome to ThomasGeigerCar. Today with the most important BMW of the year, the next generation X3. Yes, we're all waiting for the Neue Klasse and the next evolution of the electric BMW models. But for the moment, traditional cars are still a big thing. And none of the things are bigger than the X3. It's been the best-selling BMW last year. It's the best-selling X model. And it's the most important old car of the new future. So if you want to know all about the next generation that hits the European roads towards the end of the year, join me on my first walk around and I'll tell you all about it. Since the car is of such importance for BMW, the designers have been very carefully modernizing it. Yes, it looks very modern, but it is still true BMW, still true X, and still true X3. So they've just taken off a little bit of the glitter, they've cleaned the design, and they've modernized it, especially with the light effects. For the first time ever, the kidney grille is now illuminated with two single rings, making the car easily recognizable even during nighttime. The form is pretty modern and the format is almost the same as before. The car grew just a few centimeters in length and most of all in width to give it more stance. It is now 4.76 meters, the wheelbase 2.87 meters. So basically the same size. It's a little bit lower, making it even more sporty and more aero efficient. But overall, it is an X3 and it's easily recognizable. But the biggest changes have been made in the interior, and that's what we're gonna look for next. Front seat left, always my favorite seat in a car, because I just love to drive, and I would love to drive this vehicle as well. For the moment, that's still prohibited, and I can only show you and tell you what the engineers told me. When it comes to the drivetrains, for example, no, there is no electric version of the next generation X3 other than we had it before, because there is a pure electric Neue Klasse coming as an SUV. So there is no need for a fully electric version. But we have a plug-in hybrid with a battery capacity of almost double than before and an electric range of up to 85 kilometers. Other than that, we have a brand new enhanced 6-cylinder engine with almost 400 horsepower, and we have two 4-cylinder engines, diesel and petrol, with roughly 200 horsepower each. 208 for the petrol, 195 for the diesel. And there's a new diesel 6-cylinder engine for the European markets coming up in 2025. So there should be enough power and enough efficiency to drive that car safely into the future. While the exterior design has just been modernized and cleaned up, the interior design is totally new. We have new colors and trims, like the fabric on the dashboard, and most of all, we have a new electronic architecture. So we have a widescreen digital cockpit with a huge touchscreen and with cool animations behind the steering wheel. The newest version of the operating system, which is now OS 9 from BMW, so with all the online gadgets, features, all the driver assistance systems you can imagine, and they're playing with lots of lights. We have that beautiful light bar down here, which holds the most important buttons and corresponds with the lightning illustration on the center tunnel, and we have new islands in the door panels. All the vent controls, for example, have been moved into the door panels to give the car an even wider look, to integrate the door panels into the dashboard, and to make that integration even complete, we have those light bars all around. So making the car look more fancy, more modern, ready for the next generation. Compared to the Neue Klasse, it is still pretty traditional. Because if you remember seeing the show cars for the Neue Klasse, there is almost no instrumentation on the dashboard anymore, just one center screen. And for that, the big head-up display panoramic vision that spreads over all the windshield. In this case, we have a pretty standard head-up display, just using the space behind the windscreen as the display for driver's information. Even if the car has grown for roughly 4 centimeters in length and 2.5, 3 centimeters in width, the interior space is pretty much the same than before. Yes, trunk space has been increased, 20 liters more, 570s now with the seats up and up to 1700 with the seats folded down. But on the rear seat, the feeling is pretty common. Still very comfortable, but not the most relaxed drive, as long as you're an European or an American. If you're a Chinese, you're in luck, because for the first time ever, BMW will build an X3 with an increased wheelbase, especially for China. So while the Europeans and the Americans have to sit pretty decent, the Chinese can really relax on the rear seat. Thanks for joining me on that first walk around of the new BMW X3. While the company is exploring new territories with the Neue Klasse and is setting off for an adventure in the electric age, this car is staying on common grounds. It is heavily modernized, but there is no risk at all. If you loved the old BMW X3, you will sure like this car as well. And you can go electric as well, at least for almost 100 kilometers. So if you're an adventurer, just wait for the Neue Klasse. But if you're traditionally rooted and you don't want to go any risk, take this car and you will drive modernized and secure into a semi-electric future. Thank you, 谢谢, 再见, and goodbye.